I do find most people utterly disappointing, and I really would rather it be otherwise. I'm a Pisces, so I want to have faith in people because deep down I like people. People are full of potential. They're just a bunch of fucking retards because they're not willing to think for themselves. Our masters got us through convenience and entertainment. And this little gal with the yellow pants on, urging people to buy into a number of fucking agendas. It's a lot of propaganda. I'm not touching on nearly half of it. I mean, I'm not even touching on 15% of it, not even 5% of it, to be honest. Um, she's knocked out a couple songs, and I kind of like some of them. But one of the ones I kind of liked, the first one I ever heard, promoted big pharma propaganda, which made me not like it because she didn't think about anything. She's just riding the superficial waves, which cater to things that superficial people, believe, repeat, and how should I put it? Most people are fucking everything up and they don't realize it. But then they complain, well, things sure are bad. It's their fucking fault, but they don't want to. They don't want to challenge themselves either way. Case in point, and assume I'm wrong. Most of you probably do, because you probably think you're doing the right thing, and it's quite the opposite. You're told that you're doing the right thing, which should beg a lot of questions. It's probably the wrong thing if the internet and everything else is telling you, you got this. So the topmost person in here, if you look at their JPEG, their profile image, obviously that's bullshit, but that's not obvious to most people these days. So 2 days ago, they wrote, every single song is truth and brilliance, and they didn't punctuate what they left on here. Super job. 41 people thought that sounded pretty good, and that must be true. The gal in question, oh good, I forgot they do this. TikTok, that is. So Eve to Earth, that's the person in question. She uses emojis because she's a fucking retard. She said, thank you so much, friend. Because people love to say friend, fam, tribe, family. Because copies of copies of copies of copies. People are very, very disappointing. Far from original, and even further from being, can you fill in the blank? Supposedly we're human, but most people are carbon copies of one another. It's disgusting. So I reached out to the brainless kid up here, Betty Sung. Let me do this because it's divisive, but at least we can finally leave more and more in terms of characters on TikTok. So I said, your profile image promotes a shade of fascism. And if I left it at that, this kid would be like, what the fuck you do? I don't get it. Me no understand. You're wrong. My friends, they say this good. I think it good too. And I get a lot of reactions like that from stupid fucking retards on the DARPA internet and in real life, which is why I just said as much. So I said, your profile image promotes a shade of fascism. Look up the Tavistock Institute, which is intimately connected with eugenics, both of which are firmly rooted in fascist ideology. I'd rattle that off a lot because you can riff off of each one of those, you can connect each one of those dots, and you can see that what I just fucking said is true. But children of the Ethernets confuse entertainment with research, and because you can't Google what I just said flat out and get a Google answer, most people probably assume, and I'm assuming on this note, based on popular reactions, that they assume I'm wrong. And or they want to believe in this slop so fucking badly, they're never going to look into what I just said. They're going to assume I'm wrong because it suits them and their ideology, their dogmatic bullshit. All right, back to point. So I said, you should already know these things, but apparently you buy into things instead of looking into them. Not unlike most superficial internet babies. That's what I've been calling a lot of fucking people these days. It's true. It's absolutely true. All the kids talking about fake this and fake that, and they're as phony as they come. By definition. Again, copies of copies of copies. No original thought. They're all saying the same fucking shit, acting the same way. Boring. They couldn't be further from. This is funny because somebody complained at me a while back, and I'm still just spinning my wheels about it because it made me laugh that he was going to try to bring me back to humanity. And yet, do you hear people talk about what I talk about? Do you hear people conduct themselves the way I conduct myself? No. It's pretty fucking original. And the sea full of fucking retards. Back to point. So I said, it's any wonder why things are bad and getting worse. Heaven forbid, you certainly aren't the problem. Nudge, nudge, something, something. But in a world of literal humor, this kid might not understand what I just said. And I've had that happen a lot too. Said in other news, because I didn't spell it out for him. I didn't tell them what to think. I didn't make it painfully fucking obvious, even though it's pretty fucking obvious. Said in other news, this garbage promotes, This garbage post promotes the Hegelian dialectic. This gal, Eve to Earth, she's talking about Trump. That's either the red or the blue. I forget which one he supports. It doesn't really matter to me because he's a face man. He's a puppet. He's a steward of the District of Columbia. But most people don't understand that, and they're not going to look into it because you can't Google that. But you could reason as much out if you connected the fucking dots with the numerous things I leave online. But I'm surrounded by retards. Back to point. So this gal's promoting the Hegelian dialectic, which is conquer and divide, blue versus red. It also just so happens to reaffirm shades of fascism. Because if you're dividing people, you're not bringing them together. If you're dividing them, you're distracting them. You're giving them pointless fucking garbage to waste their time and energy on, which means they're not going to do something productive that would be beneficial and harmonious. It's not the best way I could put it, but it's fucking true. And if you think about what I just said, you could watch this again. You could write things down if you're slow. If you need to go back and run through some of these things, but how many of you are going to do that? Because I'm not telling you, you got this. Everything's gravy. Positive vibes. You know, and all the other canned shit that people have been trained to repeat, and they do. What I'm saying is anybody who waxes poetic about the left or the right is in fact promoting the Hegelian dialectic and shades of fascism. That one's so on the nose. I've seen people talk about the Hegelian dialectic and then turn around and tell you that you need to get out there and you need to vote. I shit you not. YouTube videos. There's quite a few that I've seen, especially, I mean, obviously, this is around election seasons. I've seen a lot of them. They'll talk about the Hegelian dialectic, how it fucking works, blah, 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 blah. The ins and the outs and some shit I didn't know. Then they'll turn around and they'll just pull the plug. They'll undo anything and everything they potentially related to other people or imparted to others. And tell you to buy into this football game of bread and circuses. Choose the side, divide people. Buy into the distraction. Reaffirm the phony jurisdiction of, voting. And precedents mattering in any form or way to you and I, the people. It's absurd. It is absurd. And this post promotes that shit. Said, both topics that I touched on are counterproductive. They're fucking retarded. And you'd have to be a retard to buy into this. And you would know this if you were thinking for yourself, just to drive that one home, because this kid's stupid. And then I wrote him again, just to drive things home, and said, your assumptions are noted. Because don't forget, they said, every single song is truth and brilliance. Here's the post. And 1,498 people like this. They think it sounds good. And 106 circulated it. 138 bookmarked this garbage. This fucking garbage. Now, you got bits and pieces with disabled people and homeless people in here. And some of you will say, but, right? No, she's promoting propaganda. So you can say some nice things. You can say some flowery shit. But if you think about how controlled opposition assets function, I don't think she is one. I think she's just trying to circulate her shitty music and make a name for herself. And she's doing pretty well because she's using superficial slop. If you understand, and if you consider, in this case, because I'm going to spell it out for you, how a controlled opposition asset functions, whether they're getting paid to do something or not, they're going to tell you some nice shit. They're going to tell you things that you want to fucking hear. And then they're going to mix in some fucking propaganda so that you repeat it. The examples I usually rattle off: Jordan Maxwell, real name Russell Pine, if I didn't fuck it up. He used to tell people about maritime law, and he'd tell you about etymology a little bit, but he'd also tell you that aliens were real. They're not. They never will be. That shit's in place to pave the way for a one-world religion. He also didn't give people tools they could actually use, and the subject matter that I mentioned prior to the alien garbage, he could have, and he didn't. He never did. He never left any of it in the public, on public record. That's one way to put it. Another one's Bill Donahue. I complain about these two a lot, and they're the easiest for me to remember, at least the last couple of years. Not Phil Donahue, Bill Donahue. He used to rope people in and talk about the Bible, and he'd quote Psalms and, all these Bible thumpers out there. Oh, Bill's a good guy. And then Bill would tell you about aliens that don't exist, but he would tell you that they do. That's how this works. So this gal, she's functioning as a controlled opposition asset. This is what most people do, because most people shop around fallacies, whether they realize it or not, because they're not thinking for themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't do so. This comes down to phrases, jargon, and a number of other belief systems and bullshit that people repeat. They thoughtlessly regurgitate. Things that people repost. That counts too, in terms of counterproductive, retarded bullshit. Talking about Trump, you're a fucking moron. Talking about voting, you're a fucking moron. And this is me saying, if you're not actually a controlled opposition asset, you are not doing things that are beneficial to you and I. This gal has a lot of people following her, which means she shouldn't be doing that. But all these fucking morons out there want to hear shit like that because that's all they know. Superficial people repeat superficial things. It's simple. When you jump into a profile like this, now you can spot a fucking retard very easily. One, typically speaking, they have a lot of followers because the algorithm promotes propaganda. Two, if they listed their pronouns, that's something that was written into free social media. That's a red flag. It's also in place to marginalize people. So you have people who are walking contradictions. I'm a Pisces, so I am too, and I think it's also inherently part of being human, despite what my earlier rant had to say. But they'll talk about diversity and this, that, and the other thing, and checking a bunch of boxes because these are the things that they were trained to repeat. And then they'll turn around and they'll list their pronouns and marginalize. There are only two sexes. It's a binary system. Everything proves that. Night and day, cold and hot, fire, water. The moon and the sun, motherfucker, yin and yang. That's why these are age-old concepts, because they're not just concepts. They're fundamental principles of reality. You with me? Some of you might believe otherwise. Just like I was saying earlier, you want to cling to your fucking adult fairy tales and the garbage you were spoon-fed because you can't let go of the fucking propaganda? The internet functions on a binary code. Computers function on binary, and so do you and I. Off and on, ones and zeros, that's how it works. So you can believe all you want, and you can repeat absolute propaganda, but that means you're just as dumb as the two people I highlighted in this video. And you're fucking things up for everybody. And you probably didn't realize it, because something I mentioned in here, I guarantee you've been fucking, barking about and telling other people, this is so cool, this is how things are. Because it's been well-financed, well-circulated, and fucking normalized. Don't be a retard.